welcome back to all you fans of Dungeons, Dragons, and writers. Does not begin with a D, but still very important. This is the continuation of IQ D&D, the Ramshackle Adventures, consisting of myself, your omnipresent Dungeon Master, James Webster, and introducing Sara-Jayne Slack.
Hi, folks.
Hugo Jackson.
Ooh. Sorry, I almost pulled my headphones out.
David Wilkinson.
Hello.
And Craig Hallam.
Hello.
We will be continuing where we left off. Previously on IQ and D&D, our heroes had ventured into the sewers in pursuit of a suspected murderer. They had befriended an intellect devourer who was leading them through on a leash. And as they approached a main chamber where it seemed the person they were seeking was hiding, they were all hit by a sleep spell that knocked them all out for the count. And we got to just explore the dreams they've been having recently. Some touching idyllic scenes that quickly became nightmarish, and some nightmarish scenes that stayed that way. And they were all visited in their dreams by a mysterious figure who identified himself as Anahiss. And who knows, maybe you'll see more of him. We begin this session as everyone is starting to wake up as the dreams fade away and a faint flickering light fills your vision. So I'm just going to move the map on the Roll20. So you should now be able to see a bit more of that big room that you had found. And your character tokens should be located on a miscellaneous pile of various debris and refuse.
I'm currently seeing sleepy time.
I'm also
Oh, is it still on sleepy time? Let's. How about
Here we go.
now?
There we go.
Yes.
Apparently none of us are morning people.
Why did we like? Hang on, I was down by that entrance.
You were. While you
were,
someone moved you.
Oh, great.
Well, now you're on the shit pile. Get used to it.
Apparently, they thought you'd be more comfortable on this very pile of debris than you would have been on the cold, stank floor.
I'll tell you what.
At least slightly softer.
This is entirely familiar for Jack Pilliarkin.
Yeah.
And as you wake up, you see in front of you the figure that you all saw in your dreams, Anahiss, standing to one side, kind of with a not unfriendly expression on his face. He's still a little green-skinned, but as you all start to wake up, there's kind of a shimmer down his skin, and it becomes a nice kind of tanned Mediterranean olive color. And so, as he sees you waking, he says, "Glad you could all join me. I hope you're none the worse for wear. Thank you again, Alan, for the advice on my complexion. Glad. Hopefully, I won't stand out too much now. It's always a trial when you have to work out a new culture and how they look." And I'm going to ask everyone to make me a perception roll.
Right, I'm done.
Cool. What do we get?
I have 13.
What's DC for me?
Sorry, so 13 for Hugo.
16 for me.
3 for Captain Wendy, and for David Sostrak.
10.
Okay, so on a 16, so I think Alan is the only one who sees this. There is kind of on the other side of the room, kind of near where you entered, there is kind of like a blur around there. Kind of just did a ping on the map, so I'll do another ping there. There's just a blur, as if something was there but obscured.
Sorry, could you just ping that again? I think
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I've zoomed in too fast. Oh, got you.
Okay.
Oh,
There we go.
Thank you.
There's fancy tech.
God,
Yeah.
technology.
A bane and a gift.
A lot like writing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm drinking.
Wonderful.
Pillarkin, by the way, is very surprised not to be hungover.
Yeah, especially as you were drinking in your dream as well. Shockingly, when you drink in your sleep, you don't have a hangover when you're awake. It's weird.
Yeah, this opens up so many possibilities.
Fantastic.
Character development.
So yeah, you've been kind of greeted by this person who is kind of just standing there patiently waiting for you to kind of come to and see what you're going to say.
I'm glad he's
You
not a
were the
duck.
one in.
I'm glad he's not a duck.
Do you say that out loud, please?
See, folks, this is why you have to watch every episode.
Right, you thing.
Yeah, I'm just going to kind of like wait for the
Right.
more charismatic, intelligent people to talk.
I think we have an agreement that no one's going to hurt anyone and no one's going to go near anyone. Is that true?
Certainly, that's what I'd prefer, if we can just work this out. Civilized.
Good. Now, you are aware that you've already committed a crime under the Metaphysical Assault Act. You put us all under a sleep spell without consent. So this is where we're starting.
And that's a crime here.
Yes. Putting people under asleep without their permission. Surely that's a crime everywhere.
I can assure you it is not a crime everywhere.
Well, come on then. Pony up. What's going on?
Well, good. So as you may have guessed, I've come here from the Tangle, which is interesting. A way has recently opened up here. We don't get a lot of opportunities to leave the Tangle. For some reason, it's difficult to kind of open gateways or leave that plane. And I really just wanted to kind of get ahead of the game, get out here, and well, let me put it this way: there are some not wonderful people who have also come through, and I'm really hoping that I can make some more reasonable acquaintances here, and we can kind of work out what they've got planned and stop that from occurring.
So you weren't the one who killed the professor?
Well, I mean, I didn't, but my little friend here probably did, and indicates the intellect devour, and then says, but I mean, and I'm sure that will be an inconvenience for him, but I will happily, I suppose, reimburse him for his time. Is that how it works here? That's often how it works back home.
You murdered someone. How are you going to reimburse him for his time?
Well, he's going to come back, but I don't know how long it takes here, but...
Yeah, murder's kind of a thing where you do it and it's done. There's no going back on that kind of thing, I'm afraid. It's not like stealing where you can, give it back sometimes.
If you want to.
So I'm clearly missing something here. And there's this kind of like... There's this look of like good-natured puzzlement on his face. Because, so what you're saying is, if I understand this right, when you kill someone here, they do not come back.
Correct.
We've got a genius here, folks.
Oh, that's bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wait, where are you from that people do come back? Because normally when people come back after you've killed them here, it's usually a bad thing. You tend to get like skellies and big pointy teeth and things like that. So,
Well, I mean, I grew up in the Tangle, and as far as I was aware, death wasn't a thing that was really a massive inconvenience. I mean, it's sure you lose a bit of time, and like your memory might be a bit fuzzy, but
We have a more sort of linear progression of time and sort of bodily exitancy in this realm, I suppose.
right. So I'd imagine that would lead you to being quite I guess, protective of your life.
Yeah, we're very finite.
That's oh wow. I'm just trying to work out all the implications for what that would mean about how you arrange things and how that works. Gosh, what do you do with all the
Calendar's only running
bodies?
one
First of
direction.
all,
That's usually it.
Hmm?
Well, calendar's usually running one direction. That's kind of it, really.
oh yeah, calendars run in one direction, but eventually, people just they'll reform. No, that not a thing here.
No.
Again, I've really got to. I really do have to wonder about. Oh, you must have bodies everywhere.
I tell you what, you're going to be the first person who asks for the death penalty.
Oh gosh, that's a really good question. Would I die permanently here? Oh, this was riskier than I thought.
Let's put something out here right now, okay? I am right on the verge of arresting you. Is there any possible reason that you can give me that we shouldn't be just marching you down to the station?
Tell us about these other people you mentioned who have come through.
Oh yes, you see, I'm part of a I guess you could call it a guild, but it's quite a loose arrangement of people who we find things out so that we can make better decisions in future. Kind of investigators, protectors. Some might call us spies, but honestly, it's all for a good cause. And I happened to overhear some of the wardens, which is one of the groups who run the Tangle, talking about a gate that might be opening, and that they apparently had some big plan to get out and do something. I didn't hear all the details, but usually when they have big plans, it's not ideal. There's and obviously, wherever they go, it turns out usually the Liberation Army will follow and try and do the opposite of what they're trying to do. So really, I'd say that the reason you shouldn't arrest me,
Yeah.
is because I can be very helpful to you in terms of staying ahead of this station, trying to make sure bad things don't happen to your city.
I mean, they could have stepped us in the head while we were asleep, and they didn't, did they? How bad can they possibly be?
Yes. Okay.
You're
my
looking-
connection seems to be slightly
Looks
more
fairly
stable.
now.
Yes.
So
clearer.
let's give this a try. So as I was saying before I cut out, we're gonna begin using one of the homebrew rules we've added to the game, which is social combat. It works just almost exactly like regular combat, except instead of using your kind of usual to hit modifiers, you'll use like the social skills like persuasion, deception, intimidation, insight, those kind of things to hit. You'll use your the damage from your like weapon attacks or spell attacks as normal. We'll just reflavor it to be part of a conversation. More or less everything stays the same, except for some of the rules will be a little. We'll use some of your skills instead of other things. So to start with, I'd like everyone to roll insight, and that will act as your initiative.
16.
18.
7 for me.
And 16 for me.
Don't you love it when the dice tell your character as it really is?
So let's go through it again. So Jax was
16.
Alan,
7.
Faria,
18.
and Wendy.
16.
Okay, and let's roll for our good friend Anahiss.
When James rolls, it looks like he's doing it on the floor.
Cool. And Anahiss gets a 10. And I'm going to take Ick out of the initiative order because Ick really lacks the capacity to take part in social combat.
You just lean around Anahiss's leg and go, yeah. Anahiss gets advantage.
Well, but also Ick is kind of torn on its loyalties right now. So
Aw.
phenomenal. So what I'm going to say is that once this resolves, when either you lot or Anahiss are on 0 hit points, or when someone decides to run, the situation will resolve in a way that benefits them. So if you defeat Anahiss, Anahiss will agree to come quietly with whatever you decide to do.
Mm-hmm.
If Anahiss wins, that means Anahiss will either escape or you will think better of trying to arrest him, whatever feels right for how the kind of conversation goes. The only other thing to note about this is that it probably won't be on this occasion, but for when we use it in future, social combat can absolutely be deadly. The consequences can still very much be life or death. In this case, this would mean that if you did want to kill Anahiss at the end of this, then you would basically have gained Anahiss's trust or obedience, and then you would quietly knife him as he came quietly.
Jack, no. That's how we roll.
I want to get paid.
Yeah.
I want to get paid.
So, without further ado, I believe first up is Faria.
Oh no. Oh, I don't have a plan.
Also, as well, movement is also a thing you can do. So, in terms of moving to gain either flanking or sneak attack, still works as normal.
Okay. So that can be social combat, things like prying questions like, how do we know you're not from the whether you're what side you're on? We don't know either of these things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I will step off the debris and come forward. Say, so do I roll first and then ask a question?
No, decide what socially you would do, and then we'll work out what role that should be.
Okay. Okay. You obviously have powers that are far beyond anything that we can reach. How do we know that you're not just playing with us? You've told us that you want us to keep you safe. You haven't really shown exactly the same courtesy to us. How do we know we can trust you?
Super. This sounds very much like it's an insight roll.
Okay.
So you're trying to gain some understanding of Anahiss's thought process via how Anahiss responds to this question. So roll me insight, and that will be your attack roll.
Okay. It's not very good. It's 6.
Okay. What I will also remind you of is that in terms of the house rules, we also have a system called Entreaty, which one of the things you can use that to do is to give yourself advantage on a roll by asking for help from one of the kind of like beings of story and tropes that exist in this setting. You don't have to know which one it is ahead of time because I haven't told you who they are yet. But for example, as you are trying to work this person out, one of the entities that you could entreaty is called Puzzle Maker. It's about working things out, but also about kind of playing tricks on people. but also making rules. And when you do this, you will, after this combat, be given a small task to undertake on behalf of this kind of pseudo entity. You don't have to do entreaty now, but I'm just making sure that you know the tools available to you.
Okay. Don't think I'll use it this time.
Cool. So you find it really hard to get a read on Anahiss. Something about Anahiss's body language is just really alien. He's not responding or moving or displaying any of the facial tics you'd expect from the people you've met in your life. So Anahiss's response to this is, well, I think really if we're going to have a working relationship where we can demonstrate trust to each other, we'd have to get to the stage where the threat of arrest was no longer hanging over my head. And that's as far as we get. So next up is Jack.
Not arrest. That's funny. What information did you want from the professor?
I wanted to know what the professor knew about the Tangle, how the professor reached out to us, and more about this city so that I could move and work in it better.
I want to try and get a read on whether I think your intentions are benign. However idiotic you have been in this scenario, I want to try and get a measure of whether you're in it for nefarious or good reasons.
Absolutely. So this would also be, I think, an insight roll.
Mm-hmm. Have I got a +3 on this?
I'll double check. Yep, +3.
See, I'm starting to get there. 13.
13. That'll do it. So from that response, you know what it looks like when people lie to you, because even with someone whose culture is radically different to yours, there are certain kind of like universal constants, and it doesn't seem this person, they're not telling you everything. Like there's a certain kind of caution in what they're saying, and kind of a certain reserve in their stance, but he doesn't seem to be lying. It seems that the intentions that so far he's put out to you are honest, and that he's been motivated by kind of protective inquisitiveness. Also, because you successfully made a social roll, please roll damage. So from where you are, I'll say that just use your short bow damage. So that's just 1d6 plus your dexterity modifier.
4 + 3.
So was that 4 + 3?
4 + 3.
Fantastic. 1 second.
I still find it really weird that there are numbers on the 6-sided dice.
Grant. Okay, so that's as far as you get there. Wendy, what's your response to all this?
Okay, so let me just check the different. This will probably be insight as well. So in quite a firm tone of voice, though, I want to say, if you're looking for information, how did you know about the professor in the first place? Have you been here before?
Yeah, and roll that insight check for me.
Okay. So that would be +3. So that is 14.
Yeah, that'll do it as well. So Anahiss kind of pauses for a second as if weighing up whether to answer this question, and then just comes out with, I knew to seek more information from the professor because Professor Mab is the one who reached out to Tangle. The professor found a way to get a message through without fully opening the gate. Sadly, the message was not very targeted, which means that several people and organizations in Tangle received it. Once I got wind of things, I thought, well, I'd best try and get in there to find what information I can and make what allies I can, so that I can try and mitigate the damage.
Okay.
And I'll say with that insight check as well, what you see from Anahiss is, again, being fairly upfront, but not telling you everything, and it's kind of glancing to that area on the map that Alan would have known there's something there. But to you just looks like an empty bit of space.
Okay.
But his eyes keep glancing over. So maybe he's looking at the entrance to the room to make a dash for it, or but there's something's going on.
Can I also take sort of 2 steps down? Is that a thing I can do?
Yeah, absolutely.
So something like, I don't know, that, I guess.
Yep, perfect.
And I'll probably make it look as though I'm just trying to get off the different debris.
Great. That absolutely makes sense.
Cool.
So it's now Anahiss's turn.
Do I do damage?
Oh gosh, yes you do. Please. Do you have any ranged attacks?
No, because I've got my cutlass and a hand axe, but apart from my
you could have the hand axe is a throwing weapon, so I'll say let's treat it as that. So I think that's a D6.
Okie dokie.
Plus either your strength or your dex modifier.
Can I choose that one?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so it would not be my dex modifier then, because that's -1. My strength modifier is 3. So D6, 6 plus 3 is 9.
9 total. Cool. Yeah, Anahiss is looking actually just a bit browbeaten by all these questions at this point. Kind of there's a bead of sweat kind of just on his brow. It's now his go. He steps kind of forward a couple of steps and kind of just spreads his hands in front of you. Goes, look. I am aware this has been a less than ideal situation, but I cannot overstress how bad this could break for all of you. The Wardens and the Liberation Army make big messes when they go head to head, and that's when there's not a foreign government to deal with. Your best shot of understanding this situation and stopping it messily exploding is to work with me. And mechanically what's happening is that this entreaty is a social representation of the Burning Hand spell. Which means that in an arc in front of, actually let's move to there, because then I think you can get 3 of you.
Yeah, not so stupid sitting on the rubbish now. You can move it around.
Cool. So could Farrier, Alan, and Jack each make a... Now, normally this would be a dexterity saving throw.
Oh, I'm so glad I'm not there.
I'm I'm out of range, aren't I?
It's 15 feet, so you're just in range. And
what am I doing?
You are making a check of some kind. Let me work out what it would be. Sorry about this. So normally this would be a dex saving throw. We're going to make it instead a charisma or wisdom saving throw, whichever you choose.
I'll choose charisma.
I will do the same.
And you want to be a 12.
I have not.
14.
Ooh, nice.
Charisma's my spellcast modifier, so I'm like, yeah, I'll take that.
Okay, and that was a annoyingly low roll. So those of you who failed, please take 6 damage. And Farry will take 3 damage.
Ooh.
Bring you down to 1.
Singe your whiskers, Farrier.
Yeah.
Yep. And next up after this impassioned entreaty, it is Alan. So Alan, again, you kind of felt the weight of that argument a little bit.
Yeah, my question was going to be about the wibbly wobbly thing near the door anyway. Conversation isn't really Alan's strong suit. So it was going to kind of be like a, what's the wibbly thing over there for?
That's great. I think that's probably maybe a persuasion roll.
Okay. Not strong point.
You could make an argument for deception as well, because you're kind of redirecting the conversation.
I'll go for persuasion. He's not smart enough to think about that. Oh no, that's a 9.
No, won't do it, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
So again, he kind of goes, I think we can discuss that once we've reached an arrangement of some kind.
Fine.
And we move back to the top. It's Farrier again. Farrier, today has been a lot. You've been psychically attacked. You've been physically attacked. Now you're having a conversation where it's clear you don't have all the information, but with someone who has definitely accidentally killed someone.
Yeah.
The consequences feel very real, and you're very tired. What do you do?
I don't know. I'm still kind of only half conscious from being attacked by Ick. Oh, goodness me. I say what I want is just to be, I don't want to play around. Who are the wardens and what are they going to do to us if we don't help you?
Okay. Is this going to be? Are you effectively making a spell attack with a cantrip? Are you casting a spell mechanically? What do you want this to be?
Probably a mechanically probably a spell. Probably something akin to. The spell I have is Chaos Bolt. I feel like it's kind of representative of, look, I'm tired, I'm had enough, just get on with it. Tell me why.
Yeah, that feels absolutely right. So how does Chaos Bolt work? Is it an attack roll?
Let me check. Ranged spell attack.
Fantastic. So just make a persuasion check as your spell attack there.
Okay. That is 18.
That will do it. Roll your Chaos Bolt damage.
This is exciting because okay. Chaos Bolt is 2d8 plus 1d6. So that's that was cocked, can't tell. 5, 9, 12 damage.
Oof. Yeah, and in response to this, so remind me exactly what you said again, or more or less what you said.
I don't remember. It's look,
It was what is going to happen if we
yeah.
don't
Who
help?
who are the wardens? What is going to happen to us if we don't help you?
And at this, you see Anahiss just kind of like fold, shoulders droop, the kind of fire goes out of his eyes a little bit, and he goes, I don't know exactly what they're going to do, but they're the people in the Tangle who they try mostly they try and stop other people leaving. They'll tell us that the world out there is awful, that the people out there are all barbarians and will want to kill us, and that there's something right and pure about where we live and the way we live, when really we're very isolated and like we don't have a lot, so a lot of people want to get out so that they can just experience other places and where they're not always struggling for whatever scraps are left. But the wardens don't want that, and they'll do almost anything to ensure that doesn't happen. And I honestly, whatever, you all know this place better than me. Whatever you think gives us the best chance of preventing them from accomplishing whatever it is they're going to do. If that means arresting me, fine, do it.
Sounds more like a refugee than an invader, honestly.
Yeah, I don't
I'd
think
agree.
we really need to be arresting anyone, do we?
There has to be consequences for what he did.
Yeah, sure, but they can come much, much later.
Yes, okay, right.
Yeah, sure.
We'll help out with this, and then we'll put in a good word with the warden, not the warden, what are they called? The orderlies.
The watch.
The watch, the orderlies. We'll put in a good word with them. But there does have to be a consequence, but I'm not going to pursue... I'm going to get paid. It'd be great. So yeah, we can sort this out first. Yeah, I want a promise that he's not going to run off though.
And he just looks at you again with that tired look in his eyes and says, I promise you, whatever consequences you think are fair for what's happened here, clearly I've done something wrong and I misunderstood how this world worked, and I will do what you want to make it right, because clearly going it alone wasn't working.
Well done, Faria.
Can I go to bed now?
Go on, go have a nice lie down on the rubbish.
So who are these? I mean, I think I might be a bit confused because the wardens have a name that makes them sound like they're probably like the Watch and they're quite nice people, but then the Liberation Army has a name like they're nice people, but then so who's just paring it down for me? Who's the bad guy exactly?
I'm not really sure how to answer that. I mean, they, as groups, they both have the capacity to do some quite bad things.
Right. So who are we trying to stop?
Yes.
Cool. Great. Just let me know when you figure it out.
Surely we're going to stop all of them.
Perhaps you could be of some help in figuring that out. Now, obviously, I've and I regret this greatly, I've removed one of our potential allies and resources kind of from the board in Professor Ambrose, but I know that Professor Ambrose was working with someone, a wizard from one of your colleges, and in fact, I know this because it was that wizard who created. Well, you can show yourself, and gestures to that kind of slightly shimmery space, and.
Could I ask, just in terms of the fact that we were hit with a sleep spell and then woke up again, I'm assuming that my
Yes,
grappling hook is
your grappling
wound.
hook was wound back up.
Okay, cool.
Is that a microwave?
What it looks like is more than anything else like a floating filing cabinet. But in the kind of, it's kind of like one of those nice wooden ones with glass windows, so you can see the books through it. It does seem to be partly full of books, but reflected in the two glass windows, you can just kind of see kind of outlines of the reflected from the books and the light in this room that make it kind of look like eyes.
Cool. I thought you were going to go full brain of Morbius on us, but this is even better.
And Anahiss gestures to this thing and says, "This is Posit. Posit is a creature unlike anything I've seen before.
Makes two of us.
Quite remarkable. Posit, perhaps you could introduce yourself if you've still got enough left in the tank." At this point, you all hear a voice in your heads. It's quite a dry but enthusiastic voice, like, and it's kind of almost a slight chorus of voices. Imagine about 20 academics giving an enthusiastic presentation at a conference, layered on top of each other. That's what the voice sounds like. And it says, "Hello, I am the repository. Although Anahiss calls me Posit for short, as indeed did my father, Professor Bustius.
Professor Bustius?
Yes, Professor Bustius created me. I believe because he was always losing his books and needed something to keep track of them. That's me, the repository."
He is useless.
I want one.
Don't we all?
And if anyone would like to, they can make me an Arcana check.
Here we go.
Come on, someone who's good at this.
19.
Ooh.
I'm barely awake. I got a 1. I'm like,
Yeah, Faria, it's probably magic. Wendy, you've scraped together some arcane knowledge from your storied history and the various different weird people you've met over your time, both in Shackle and elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
From the various stories you've heard, this feels like it's something that shouldn't really be possible. It's like someone has jammed the animate object spell and the awaken spell together, and has somehow awakened a filing cabinet. There are some.
Do I get a sense? Sorry.
Go on. There are some far-reaching consequences for this that you don't quite have the knowledge to unpick, but so there's just a moment where you're thinking, wait, how does this even work? Does it know all the things the books know? Does this thing have a soul? What's going on?
I was just about to say, do I get a sense whether it's sort of pre-programmed, if you like, or if it has sort of air quote a mind of its own?
It's hard to say definitively,
Okay.
but based on the way it's responded and your understanding of this this magic, you shouldn't be able to give an inanimate object a kind of full consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not behaving in a way that's even as so much of the little you've seen so far that is limited by set commands.
Right.
So if it is running off kind of like programmed instructions, they are complex.
Okay.
Yeah, and kind of posit
Can I
continue.
make sorry.
Go on.
Again, just a slightly meta suggestion, and I'll say it before you tell me I'm not allowed to. Alan, do you think you should make a check of whether you have any knowledge of anything like this, because you've messed around with automatons?
Well, Bustius did say I was supposed to be looking for a machine, but I thought it was the thing I poked in his office. Now I'm starting to think it's this thing. Maybe. Does that sound like about right, Webster?
It's entirely possible that this might be the experiment that Professor Bustius sent you to collect.
Cool.
Cool. And yeah, Posit does continue in your head briefly, going, it is nice to meet you all. If you have any requests for information, I contain many books and much arcane knowledge. So if there's anything you do not understand, I will do my best to select the right tome for you. Also, have you seen my father recently?
Yeah. Just this morning, in fact. He's looking for you as well.
Good, good. He is always losing things. Although, in this case, I cannot really blame him.
Yeah, how did you get down here in the first place?
Well, perhaps Anahiss would like to explain that. And Anahiss...
Jack, don't add theft to the list before he starts.
Let me just check the exact order of events as they occurred.
It's a good point. I should start writing down all the crimes.
Oh no! Should have kept my mouth shut.
Metaphysical assault.
The sewers count as public property? Is this trespassing?
Stop helping him!
Littering. Immigration without correct documentation.
Brain not on a leash.
Uncontrolled brain in a public space.
I feel like Inspired Quill needs to publish this as a little chat book.
That'd be lovely. And Anahiss chips in with, well, yes, when I found my way through, I didn't come through the gate proper. It seems that Posit here, with the instruction of Professor Mab and Professor Bustius, somehow managed to shortcut through the gate, and I emerged into first into a lab, and then Posit teleported us away because there were other people there, and into Mr. Mab's office. I was a little kind of freaked out, so I left, but I sent Ick back. Ick tells me that's its name now, so well done. Sent Ick back to kind of investigate and find what knowledge Ick could. And
so you're saying that Posit can also teleport?
Posit can, as far as I can tell, do a great many spells, as Posit contains a great many spell books.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Ever. Wait, so I'll just kind of nudge Faria and make sure she's still awake and say, so the teleporty thing that moved us from one room to another was the thing that they've used, probably, to get through the gate. But there was a dead guy in that room as well, wasn't there?
Yeah.
So, dead guy in the first room.
On an OC note, I'll point out that you do not know if that guy was dead or not.
Oh yeah, shit. Actually, yeah, we never actually got to.
You can
Yeah.
absolutely in character assume
Yeah,
that person was dead. But I just want to make sure for the audience and in case you'd forgotten.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that dead guy who was definitely dead.
And it says, "Oh
Even though we
gosh,
didn't check.
I'm really sorry. We didn't stay to provide medical aid. I'm afraid. Bustius and Professor Mab we're really sure we should leave quite quickly."
Mm.
Yes.
Do I know if Bustius had an assistant or anything like that?
I think it's fair to say Bustius shared the lab with other people, so it could have been an assistant, it could have been another wizardly researcher.
I still have Professor Zephyr's cloak in my bag, so he was probably somewhere there.
Indeed, that is
I'm
possible.
adding on conspiracy to commit sentient trafficking. I have another question for you. Are you a Githzerai or an Illithid?
I am neither of those things, although some people within Tangled are.
Are you a
myself?
shapeshifter?
Yes, that's hence the skin kind of ripples again.
Mhm.
It's as kind of a flash of color goes down his face.
Now, I've read that people from the Tangle are marked in some way. Could you explain to us how that is in case we encounter any others?
It differs from person to person, I'm afraid.
Would
Like
you
a
tell?
birthmark?
Would you be able to tell?
Let me put it this way. If you find someone who has a wound somewhere on them that looks like it should have killed them, but they're up and walking around, that's usually what's left behind when someone dies for the first time.
Okay.
Got it, yeah.
You can tell I found my notebook now, can't you?
Yes, and I've been trying to put some things together. Posit has been very helpful, but Posit is currently limited by the fact that Posit's down a few books. Ick managed to find one and promptly ate it. So actually, Ick, if you don't mind, I think you might need to get into Posit. Posit opens its doors invitingly.
Don't know if I'm old enough to see this.
And unless
And the
anyone
ballot
stops it,
section goes wild.
unless anyone stops it, the little brain scutters along on its little legs and jumps, landing neatly on an empty spot on one of the shelves in this floating filing cabinet. And a little kind of ripple of energy emanates out, and goes, yes. That's very helpful. Very helpful information on the construction of interplanar travel. Good, I had forgotten that.
Wendy, are you now attached to the filing cabinet?
No.
While
wound
you were asleep, the hook had been detached.
Ooh, Ick the Slick.
I feel as though Ick's name needs to elongate over the different time frames.
Survivor of Flame, Mother of Dragons, first of his name.
Jumper into cabinets.
Ooh. Thunder, like above my house.
Yes, and Anahiss looks at him and goes, "So I'd be open to thoughts from you on what the next steps should be. I certainly the wardens may well have made diplomatic contact with your. Do you have a government? Do you have a diplomatic corps, something like that?"
Yes.
probably.
Well,
I'm assuming that I would know quite well.
Yeah, you probably know fairly well, so I'm not going to make you roll for this.
Okay.
The diplomatic relations between Shackle and other kind of places and planes are usually handled by members of the kind of loose city council and professors who specialize in the study of diplomacy. Of which Ambrose Mab was a relatively junior professor in that field. There are others who are much more senior and probably handle something like this. The Council of Shackle is a little interesting in that anyone can join the council if they think they have a say in how Shackle should be run. And a bit about Shackle. Shackle, when it was kind of realizing it was at a size that it had to start kind of governing itself and organizing itself, it looked to the scholars to tell them what system they should use. And the scholars came back more or less with the quote of, well, this is the worst system we've ever tried, except for every other system.
Virginian.
So they decided they wouldn't have a system of governance, and instead people could just join, run their stuff the way they would like, and if this became a problem for other people in the council, then they would do something about it. This is kind of how the laws of Shackle came about, in that there weren't any codified laws, and the kind of Guild of Orderlies was just contracted by one faction to come in and enforce certain laws that faction decided on. And if anyone had an issue with that, they could take it up with the Guild of Orderlies.
Okay. Interesting.
There's later been some quite tense negotiation on what the laws should be, but they've more or less shaken out.
Okay. Do we know how old Shackle is?
Anyone could make me a history check if you'd like to.
That will not do it. I just got 11.
19.
18. Oh, so close.
Cool. So on an 18 and a 19, no one's quite sure how old Shackle is. The official history goes back a few hundred years.
Okay.
But you're aware that it was a kind of town before that. And over time, more and more people flocked there, largely because it had this planar gate.
Okay.
Well, I think the first thing we should probably do is take the cupboard back to Bustius and have a word with him, because he probably knows a bit more.
And Anahiss goes, yes, I think that if we can get in touch with Bustius, that would be fantastic. We can work out what his reasoning was in kind of reaching out, and maybe work out where the other books that Posit is missing are, and possibly get back up to full strength.
What
this
are
seems like a weird situation. Does anyone have anywhere safe where we can? I'm guessing we shouldn't walk around with Anahiss and an animated cupboard down the street. Does anyone have anywhere safe we can go? I don't.
I suppose my apartment might be a bit of a squeeze, or Faria, what about your workshop? Is your father working today?
Yeah, I mean, it's a mess, but we'd blend right in the mess, so
my watcher's eye does let me know where dens of criminal activity are, if we want to just kind of disappear for a bit.
Yeah, you could find like a criminal safe house to hide out in.
Do that too, yeah.
I wouldn't feel comfortable being in a criminal safe house with present company.
Who?
Not sure whether to feel offended or not.
I just mean that, yes, there might be a safe house available, but what if other people come back to use it?
We tend to bugger off, don't we?
Not really flying under the radar, is it? Well, I mean, we can wander around in the sewers if we need to get somewhere, surely.
I could try and find Bustius and bring him back here if you want. It's just a bit scaggy down here, isn't it?
It looks like an operational headquarters to me.
I feel as though either Faria's workshop or my apartment would be the best place for this conversation.
Oh, we're still going to have to get there, though, because...
Yeah, but one of us could go off and...
Well, we can go and Posit can teleport, no?
Oh, I see.
Ask Posit if it's still got the right book.
Posit chimes in telepathically. I am afraid that the tome which contained the right spells for that, either Dimension Door or Teleportation Circle, oh indeed, Plane to Travel, has been lost to me.
Brilliant. Well, we could carry you.
I am perfectly capable of moving myself, and Posit floats across the floor a little bit.
I'm aware of that, Posit, but what I'm thinking is if we need to move around topside without anyone looking askance at us, we can pretend to be carrying you.
Ah, yes, I see. A deception.
I also have my cloak I can put over the top to sort of...
What's this? Nothing.
Well, it looked like a little palanquin, when we carry it along. Carrying a very, very small diplomat.
Very well. This sounds like I'll be treated with due respect, and I will acquiesce to this ruse.
So which one are we going to again?
Wendy's place, wasn't it?
Well, either my apartment or Faria's workshop.
Which is closer? I live in Puzzle.
I'm not sure which one's closer.
Let me just have a look at the...
Yeah, have you got an A to Z in that filing cabinet?
Ordnance surveys.
Or maybe the Sewage Gazette for the... that's probably got a map in it.
Well, the office we were in was in Puzzle as well, wasn't it? So we should be close.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You are probably closer to Faria's workshop.
Okay.
Faria, are you happy for us to...
Crash at yours?
Yes.
Just let me go in first. All right. And let my dad know. We don't get many visitors.
Very good. So where do you want to exit the rotation steps and exit the sewers back in the college, or do you want to go elsewhere?
Is Posit going to fit through the grate that we crawled through, given that Posit is a box?
Posit would probably just about fit, and then Posit adds in your brains, I could cast enlarge/reduce on myself and reduce my size to enable me to fit through.
Oh.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, can we maybe get closer before we go topside?
Yeah, you absolutely could. I'm going to add here as well, because Sarah, because you rolled on your Arcana check earlier, the idea of this thing being able to cast spells is wild.
Yeah.
Certainly, if this was like a magical automaton, it probably wouldn't be able to cast spells, or it would only be able to cast ones that have been previously enchanted on it by someone.
So it would be like letting them loose rather than actually casting them.
Yes. Whereas if this thing can actually cast spells that it chooses from all the ones stored in it, that one implies the existence of a soul. Not necessarily, because there are potential ways around that, but usually it is kind of that magic can usually only be cast by souled creatures.
I'm hoping that Faria's workshop doesn't have any sort of dog-eared books or badly taken care of furniture now.
Yeah. This information also leads you to think that however Bustius created this thing probably took a lot of time and sacrifice. There are sacrifice rules that we've added to the game, wherein you can sacrifice things like gold or time to do things that usually wouldn't be possible.
Mm.
And it seems like a consistent amount of sacrifice has been poured into this thing to make all of this work and coexist.
It seems quite strange that someone would sacrifice so much for. I mean, don't get me wrong, Posit is awesome, but there has to be more to it than just being forgetful, I would have thought. Okay. Interesting.
I guess it's
So,
Come on then,
maybe
Posit. Smallen yourself.
okay, and you head out of that main chamber back into the sewers. You are untroubled by giant rats the rest of the way.
I'm behind Anahiss. Anahiss walks in the middle.
Very good. Anahiss does so without any complaints.
I've got my hand on my sword the whole time.
Yep, he makes sure not to make any sudden movements and seems very obedient.
What are we doing for light, by the way?
I can produce flame.
Cool.
How to do that? Because it's a cantrip.
Super. Yeah, there were a couple of candles in the chamber that you could easily take with you as well.
Okay.
But produce flame will probably be more reliable.
Cool.
Yeah, Anahiss, have you got any money?
Oh yes, I've got and Anahiss reaches into his pocket and brings out a little handful of kind of like carved bone chips that have different kind of either runes or kind of markings on them. Will this do? Do you take these?
Right, you're in charge of your own food and drink and lodging and stuff. We're not paying for that, okay?
That's not something we even need to consider at the moment, Jack. Can you please get with the program?
We need this up front. I'm not paying for anything, right?
Of course you're not.
Yeah, and Anahiss just says, I am well accustomed to needing to acquire the things that I require to survive.
Fab.
Correct. And as you make your way to the sewers exit, so now the question is, where are you going?
Yes, that is an excellent question.
I think we're going to my father's workshop.
Phenomenal. The second question then is, how are you getting there?
Well, we're not teleporting now, are we?
Everybody shoots a dirty look at the sentient cupboard that we're carrying. Can we tell where we are while we're in the sewer? Is the way of keeping track of what direction we're moving in and things like that?
It's quite tough. If you wanted to make me a survival roll to navigate the sewers, you could do that. Otherwise, it will be fairly easy to find your way back to the point you entered by. But if you want to get anywhere else, that's survival.
I can try.
Is that all of us rolling, James?
You could all roll individually, or I'd also allow one of you to roll with advantage with help from the others.
I just got 17, which is 20 altogether.
Oh, that's way better than mine.
Yeah.
Oofa doofa. Yeah, you are experienced in moving either illicit goods or people through the sewers of Shackle for one reason or another. And you could get, you think, to any district of the city you wanted. Where would you like to go?
Faria, is there a place near your father's workshop that's not a main street? I don't want us to pop up out of a grate and make someone fall over.
There are some sewer hubs around. I'm pretty sure it doesn't always smell great, but we need them for some of the artificers around there.
Okay.
Yeah, Faria, I think a couple of options occur to you. One is that, yeah, there's like effectively a waste disposal site for the various artificers, tanners, and whatever. That's going to be grim, but you can absolutely come up through there. The other option is the little park that you visited in your dream is kind of on the outskirts of Puzzle, and because there are water features there, probably would connect to the sewers. it's that might be a little more public, but there are kind of little bits of woodland you could probably hide in.
Okay, so do we think we can smell worse than we already do? Is the question.
We've been lying in rubbish.
I don't feel like I smell any different to what I did this morning when I woke up, so no.
Well, I can tell you with my nose that this is horrible. So it's if we don't want to be seen, we can go that way.
Okay. I think it's more a case of if we can get out without being seen, as soon as we're out,
We'll be fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Why do we care if people see us emerging from a sewer?
Just because it'll be weird, like 6 people climbing out of a sewer carrying a cupboard is a bit of an odd thing. We'll probably get noticed, won't we?
Well, I mean, you get people scavenging for weird things. You know what artificers are like. They'll grab anything and turn it into something else.
That's true. Let's go to the park then. We might be able to wash off slightly at the same time.
That's an interesting question.
What is an interesting question?
Sorry, I was checking to see whether I had... yeah, we could do that, actually. I can cast Fog Cloud if we're really worried about obscurity coming out of the out of the pond, the lake.
Yeah, so I'm going to say, through a kind of slightly roundabout route, you make your way through the sewers to what you are fairly sure is the drains from some of the water features in that park. If anyone wants to kind of try and peek out or have a listen to see how busy it is, give me a perception check.
Wendy, have a look.
Why me?
She's not passed a single perception test in this entire thing.
I have a 20.
Okay, yeah, that'll do it. Yeah. It sounds like there may be a couple of people up there, but there's definitely one kind of grate you can come up through that doesn't sound like there are anyone near it. This is one of the areas where there's a little bit of shrubbery around it because it's around the back of a water feature. So you think that'll be safe-ish.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're good.
Is this up a ladder, James? Do we need to take dex rolls?
Actually, they would be strength rolls and athletics to climb,
Oh.
but there is a ladder. I don't think it serves the drama at all to have you struggle to get out of this sewer right now.
Okay.
So
Whole
you can happily climb up the that little ladder out of the sewer grate. If any of you do look like you're going to slip and fall, you'll find yourself suddenly hovering in the air as and a little cheerful with a little cheerful presence in your mind as Posset would cast levitation on you.
Oh, fair enough.
Posset could be like a lift, just going up and down with us standing on top of
Yeah.
it.
Just come out of the thing with the sword, like Lady of the Lake.
Go on, shapeshifter boy, up you go. You're not going last.
And as you say, and Anahiss climbs up as well. And yeah, you are all in a nice park. You splash yourselves down from the fountain that you just come around the back of, and you smell not quite as bad as you did.
Great.
At least one person probably picks an old tea bag off their shoulder.
What's this in my pauldron?
Yeah, but still good. Put it inside.
Yeah, and from there you're just
at one end of posit and start to pretend to carry it.
Well, I won't be doing that.
and from there you're just a short hop back to Farrier's workshop.
Oh.
Excellent. Faria, do you need to go in first to let your father know that we're here?
Yeah, and I'll make a little bit of space. Definitely not used to having. Hang on, how many of us are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people here, I guess. I'll just clear off the tabletop a little bit.
Thank you.
So I'd nip inside. to explain to my dad that I still have the cloak that he gave to me. It's a very expensive piece of material.
That might need a wash.
Definitely does now. Just seasoning it, pre-seasoning it, no one wants it to look absolutely brand new. You just want to look like you've been hiding it for a while and, brought it out for the special occasion.
If it's tweed, it needs to be soaked in urine anyway. So that's what you've been doing.
I would smell like it, probably.
Fantastic. So you head into the workshop, and your father's still there, kind of tinkering away with something.
Okay.
Kind of looks up as you come in. Oh gosh, Barry, are you quite all right? You've been gone quite a while for that delivery. Did everything go okay?
No. To be honest.
Well, you're still here, so that's a plus. I'm not thinking the worst, at least. What on earth happened?
I don't know that I really want to tell him that I almost died. That would probably not be very good. So we went to the university to deliver to Professor Zephyr, and it was chaos. It was a mess. It was terrible. And we ended up chasing this weird creature into a sewer. And now we have some visitors from through the gate. And I kind of volunteered the workshop to be sanctuary for a little while. And sorry, I'm very tired. But I'll clean up a little bit and I'll make sure that nothing happens.
And he takes all this in for a second, and a look of kind of fatherly compassion, like that kind of care that of someone who doesn't understand, like, but like in a quite mundane way. This is well, youth these days getting up to all sorts. And just kind of defaults to that kind of acceptance and compassion, where the only thing to do is, right, well, I guess I'd better put the kettle on.
Sounds like a good idea. I think you remember Alan, right? He's here. He'll probably want a cup of tea.
Ah, that explains it. Right. Yes.
And the realization dawns.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So then I just quickly throw some bolts of fabric under the workshop table and try and make things moderately presentable and go and let everyone in.
Yeah, and you all pile into the workshop. How much space is there in here? What kind of seating options do people have?
There's a box over there. There's a crate. There's probably a couple of chairs, because at one point this was probably functioned as a dining room. So buried under everything, there is probably a set of, I suppose, 4 chairs. Never needed more than 3, but you don't get them in sets of 3. So yeah, there's 4 chairs and some boxes.
Cool.
Very good. So you can all find some kind of makeshift places to sit, and after a bit, Farrah's dad wheels over and starts handing out steaming mugs of kind of quite fragrant tea. And you, with that kind of warm mug in your hands, the steam drifting up into your nostrils, you all breathe out a little and able to take a breath. Mechanically, we can process a short rest here.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
I'm pouring some of my water skin is being poured into the tea.
Perfect.
On my butt.
A short rest, you can recover 1 hit die's worth of points, right?
You can recover as many hit dies as you're worth of points, but currently you only have 1 hit die.
Okay. Cool.
And you add your Constitution modifier to the number as well.
Oh, nice. Fantastic. Okay. That's exactly what I needed.
Ooh, excellent. I'm back up to 10.
And if any of you had any once per short rest abilities, they reset, but I'm not sure you do yet.
Anybody need some healing hands, or are we all good?
I'm a bit shy of Max, but I'm good. I'm still a bit rough around the edges. I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm okay.
And Anahiss is definitely perching on like the corner of a crate, so kind of half on, half off it. Definite kind of like chaotic bisexual sitting energy. And kind of looks at all of you and goes, "So what now? And can we speak freely in front of?" And looks at. Oh gosh, I've forgotten Faria's dad's name again.
Aiden.
And looks at Aiden, kind of, and then looks at Faria.
Yeah, you can trust my dad.
Good, great. So, what do we want to do next? I mean, I'd quite like to find out where the good Professor Bustius is, or do track down any of Ick's missing books. But also, it might be worth trying to find out what diplomatic relations have begun so far with my
Well, I guess the first question is whether we want to split up to do all of these things quicker. It seems as though time might be a little bit of the essence.
Yeah, I mean, that seems faster to me. I can just pop back, find Bustius, and bring him back here if you want. I mean, it's an extra person in this little closet, but...
Potentially. I could go and see the city council.
What other missing books do we know?
Things like that, so...
That's a good question, Faria.
Yeah, what are the books called?
That's a good question. And Ick, not Ick, Posit, again, telepathically speaks to all of you and goes, well, often it's difficult for me to remember the titles of the books once they are no longer within me. The one at least, which I know because Professor Bustius mentioned it, is entitled "The Interplane Emotion for When Your Feet Just Aren't Good Enough." that was the title that allowed me to, often to travel via non-physical means to other places, and indeed was instrumental in allowing me to reach out through the gate.
Sounds like an old dance tutorial book.
I am led to believe that traveling between planes or across vast distances in short amounts of time is much like a dance. You just have to learn where metaphysically to put your feet.
That's interesting.
Do you know how many books you're missing, Posit?
I believe I was missing 3, but one of them is now contained within Ick, who is contained within me.
Okay. So, 2 remaining. So do you know the name of these?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I'll say you first.
No, I was just saying, do you know the name of the other one?
I'm afraid Professor Bustius did not mention the name of that book to me. I got the impression that perhaps he was trying to keep it a secret.
Oh. So does Ick just kind of sniff them out then, or?
Anahiss chimes in here. Ick was able to find that one because I think it was just being kept in Professor Mab's office. Finding the others might be tricky. It might be a question of either asking Bustius, or if Bustius is no longer in possession of them, working out who is most likely to have taken them.
Well, that makes sense. We'll start there then. We need to grab him and tell him that we found Posit anyway, so...
That's true.
So, Anahiss, given what you know of either the Wardens or the Liberation Army, where do you think they would go first? Who do you think they would find?
The Wardens would almost certainly try to find the font of authority. So if there were official diplomatic relations that were possible to open, they would have approached there. Given the way they operate, they wouldn't necessarily be engaging in these in good faith. But for them meeting another kind of culture's leaders is a way of them sizing up the opposition.
So they've probably gone to the orderlies then, if they've arrived.
Quite possibly.
If they came through the portal, the orderlies are the first people they'd encounter.
Right. If they did.
Mm.
Or the Council of Scholars.
Yeah, from what you know, those both seem like plausible courses that could have happened.
So at the moment, it sounds as though there are 3 threads that we need to tug on.
And what about the machine that lets you bypass the gate? I mean, that's pretty dangerous, isn't it?
I believe that once Posit has the books returned, then Posit would probably have that ability again.
Right. Okay. So he doesn't at the minute. Then that's good. People sidestepping the orderlies at the gate is not really a good idea, is it? So.
Well, Anahiss says it was helpful for me, but yeah, I would not trust most of my country people with the ability to skip through the authorities like that.
Cool. So what do people want to do first? Or shall we split up like Wendy said?
Well, I just feel as though it would be a better use of time.
I think Craig has clocked that every time the idea of splitting up is mentioned, a look of horror crosses my face. The idea of having to manage a split party. It's definitely a thing you can do. It's absolutely fine. It's just it's a trope in D&D that when you split the party, it's the start of things spiraling out of control.
Level one.
That's a good point. What I'll point out is at the end of this short rest, you will all level up as well. So we'll sort that out before the next episode.
Shiny.
Level two. Right, let's go find the professor first then, because to be honest with you, all this diplomacy stuff isn't really my kind of thing. So once I've told him that I found his cupboard, I'm done. So can we do that first? And then I'm sure you lot will be absolutely fine dealing with the rest.
At least if I can find out whether Zephyr is going to be able to collect this cloak or not. That's something I need to know.
I think if we just rock up at the diplomacy place and say, look, some people have come, are you talking to them? And they go away. And we say, you shouldn't be talking to them because they're real trouble. And they'll say, who are you and what are you doing here? So when you then get asked that question, maybe Professor Bustius might be able to answer some of these questions.
Yeah, on reflection, perhaps giving Professor Bustius a visit from the whole group might be slightly better.
It might impress upon him the seriousness of our intent as well.
Mm.
Yeah, all right, sure.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I agree with Jack.
So marvelous. So Craig, Alan would know that Professor Bustius used to have lodgings in Candle near his workshop and lab. In recent years, Professor Bustius has had something of a fall in reputation due to the frequent mishaps that surround his professional life. So since then, he's had to take up residence on the other side of town, on kind of just in Chain, just on the border with Shadow. So around
Jack's area.
Here.
Well, that's just where I woke up. I don't have an area.
It's just where I woke up. Brilliant.
The gate looks like it's giving us the finger.
I'm sure it will be at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it is metaphysically giving the laws of physics the finger, so it checks out.
Right, well, we should just go there then. It'll save us all being in Thoria's workshop as well, won't it? And Aiden
That
can
makes
get to work
sense.
and we'll bang on.
Brilliant. So you head towards Professor Bustis's lodgings. You can head up through Puzzle, cross Heart, and into Chain. As you get to the kind of slightly rundown house where you know Professor Bustis lives, I'd like anyone who would care to make a perception check.
Wendy.
Okay, here we go. I totally didn't just roll a natural 1.
Hey, same. I did.
Oh, dear me.
Wow.
Why do you do this to me?
It was a 16 for me.
Great.
I also got a 16.
It's just my dice is just punishing me for that natural 20 I rolled when I was trying to get ick.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to balance the karma of that. So Wendy and Faria, you both get distracted by a stall that seems to be selling delicious iced buns.
Yes.
Goodness, heck yeah.
Um,
I didn't add my 3 to my 16, sorry. 19.
Amazing.
Ooh, nice.
And as the two of them just drift to one side to get iced buns and possibly a nice hot chocolate, the two of you see that one of the windows into Professor Buster's home, it's not easy to see because it's not really broken. It's ajar, but it looks like the latch is has come away from the wall.
I just kind of look at Jack and where have the other two gone? Oh, bloody hell. Come on!
And who has custody of Anahiss at the moment?
Custard.
Do you want to pull Anna with you, or do you want to have left him being guarded by Aiden?
I guess we were taking him with us, but
Well, he's been working with Bustius.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think you've been receptive, so you've still got eyes on Anahiss. It's kind of between you and Alan.
Jack, do you want to go have a look, or
Yeah, I fancy going in here.
yeah?
Super. Are you being reasonably discreet, or are you just fantastic? Then
How many exits are there to this
Slipping
place?
sorry.
How many exits are there to this place?
You can only see the one, which is the front door.
Okay.
There's a window on the ground floor on the first floor as well, and the ground floor window seems to be the one that someone might have gone in through.
Yeah. I'm drawing my rapier before I go in.
Very good. Alan, you assume there might be a back door as well, but it could be that these houses are kind of backed onto each other. You'd have to take a second to have a look.
Okay, I'll do that just in case we get a runner.
So where were we? Yes, Jack was making a stealth roll.
Yes.
Oh, right, yes. Do I have any special stealth? Hang on. Yeah, I've got a +5. Excellent.
Yeah.
What?
Nice.
How are you so stealthy if you're always drunk?
Well, obviously, I shouldn't have added that drink to the.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Put
You
that
start
stuff
to
in
feel
the
the
tea.
effects of not the water.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happens. You approach the window. You just kind of slip into the pedestrian traffic that's going along, getting ready to just take a sidestep towards the window. And as you do that, the pavement is just a little wobblier than you want it to be, and your foot does not find a cobblestone, but instead just slips out from under you. And suddenly a bunch of people look around and see and realize you were just approaching a window with a drawn sword. And so there are some gasps there. A couple of shouts. What's going on? What are you up to? It's a thief. She's robbing the place.
At least I didn't fall on the sword.
That is true. That could, if I'd been feeling mean, that could have happened. Meanwhile, around the back of the house, make me an investigation check for Alan.
Let's have a look. Investigation. Oh no. -1 to that. That's a big 7.
So it's taking you a bit of time to work out, because there's an alleyway that takes you around, but then it doesn't. There's a wall that you think it would take you around the back of the house. So it's taking you a second through a couple of dead ends to get there. Make me a perception check as well.
Oh, it's natural 20, 24.
You, as you're kind of looking for the alley that will take you behind Bustus's house, you kind of look up. You think maybe I can jump over one of these walls and get there. And as you look up, you see a couple of figures on the roofs of houses overlooking Bustus's, and the light hits just right to illuminate them perfectly, so that they're, and you see that they are vaguely human looking, except one of them has a big cut on their neck that you reckon should have killed them, and yet they're up there and kind of walking around, and they seem to be waiting for something to happen.
Bugger.
And it's at that time that you hear some shouting from the front of the house, and these two figures kind of perk up and kind of leap from one rooftop to another, as if they've been alerted by the sound and are now either going to meet someone or going to get someone or get something.
Bugger.
At the front of the house, you hear kind of a muffled thud from inside the window, and the sound of sudden loud footsteps going away from you.
So if I've gone around the back of the house, am I kind of in the backyard type of thing, or do I need to get over a wall? Or
yeah, you're basically one wall away from the backyard at this point, because you didn't quite work out the way there.
In that case, up and over, or I'll try.
Give me athletics. I think you're probably aiming for about a 13 here.
Please roll high. Ooh, 13 on the dice. 18.
Lovely. Yeah, you shimmy up the wall, vault over, action hero style, and you have landed in the backyard. From the backyard, you can see the two figures that you saw jumping over the rooftop have kind of jumped onto the rooftop of this house and are lowering themselves in through one of the windows into the first floor.
Crap. Right. Can I just shout, "Get in the bloody house! They're inside!"
And those of you at the front of the house do indeed hear this. What would you like to do?
I'm assuming we're sort of caught up with Jack by this point.
Yeah, you're just about caught up.
Okay.
I'm going to quickly yank out of my pack my what's it? You're all agog. My orderly uniform.
That's the finest what's it I've ever seen.
Yeah. So all these people shouting thief or whatever, I think putting on my orderly uniform is probably
yeah.
a good
I'm gonna say rather than putting the full uniform,
jacket.
there's a jacket you can just quickly shrug on with a symbol on it, and you can just show that to them, and they quieten down for a second.
Good, excellent. And then that's just enough time for the other two to reach me, and we're going, right, we need to get in here. Swords out, lads.
Okay.
Yep. And are you going in through the window, or are you going to try the
I'm
door?
just going to go through the door now.
Super. So at this point, I would ask everyone to roll initiative, but we'll do that next time. Thank you for joining us for this episode of IQ D&D, the Ramshackle Adventures. Join us next time to find out what awaits our brave heroes once they leave the dark, dusty, and smelly sewer. Take care, like, subscribe, buy books. Bye. At this point, gang, what I'm going to do is
Oh no.
No, no. Oh,
Oh,
no,
no.
no, 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 no.
No, no, no.
Oh, no. Right, this will give me a chance to find my notes. I've lost my notes.
I'm frantically scribbling all these names of these.
I hope somebody was, because I've not got my notes. Once it starts going online, I think I might get really self-conscious.
It happens.
Well, I'm not going to be watching a single one of them, and I sure as hell I'm not going to be checking out any comments if we even get any.
that's the healthy way to do it.
The stuff that happens while I'm sat here is it.
Yep.
Done.
Wendy hasn't perceived anything yet in this
Oh
game.
no, when literally at the moment she has failed, I think, every single one of her perception rolls.
Really liked that bookshelf,
Notice
though.
how I'm putting it in the third person there.
Can you imagine you going through the world going,
I'm quite, as a human being, I'd like to think I'm quite perceptive. So I'm, broadening my acting range here, folks.